Hello, and welcome to a new Cardfight Vanguard overdress episode review. Yeah, I did promise, well, I don't know if I promised, but I did say I was going to make a separate video about, like, the opening theme of Vanguard, like, the new opening theme of Vanguard Overdress Season 2, at some point throughout the week, but then I didn't, and basically my excuse for that is that I haven't been feeling too great. It's not COVID or anything. It's just, I think I got a cold or something, and I'm over the worst of it now. Like, it's still a little bit there, but it'll be okay in a day or two. But I just seriously wasn't feeling great, and recording wouldn't have been easy. So I thought better take a break, recover now, and get back to videos later, which is a shame. But hey, like I said though, I'm over the worst of it now, and I wanted to do the episode review whilst the episode was still new, so here we are. Hopefully you guys are used to the episode review being a little later on in the day than it usually is too for season 2, just because the time that the episode airs is a little inconvenient for me, but whatever. Enough of that, no one cares. Let's actually get into talking about the episode. So this is episode 14 of Overdress, which is the second episode of season 2. And it was really good. I really like that so far throughout the season 2, we've been focusing on different characters. So episode 1 focused on Megami and Danji, whereas episode 2 focused on Yuyu and Tohya. We're very kind of slowly easing ourselves back into things by reintroducing the characters, so that when plot stuff does come in later on, which I believe might be next episode, I don't know for certain, that means, you know, we'll really be getting back into it, and I like that a lot. I like giving us time to reintroduce these characters, especially considering they've got a lot going on with them, you know, like Megami and Danji had a lot going on with them, and Tohya certainly has a lot going on for him. And Danji was my favorite character in season 1, but honestly in season 2 I'm liking Tohya a lot too, just because I like this dynamic shift, you know, like this show is still, you know, fairly fresh considering, like, or at least new, considering that, like, you know, most other card game animes have story arcs that are pretty damn long, you know? So the fact that we're only 14 episodes through and a lot is already happening, like, for example, that Tohya went from, like, being, like, kind of a rival to Danji, to being an outright villain, to now being, like, I don't want to say the protagonist, because that's still Yuyu, but it definitely feels to me like he's the one who's got a lot to prove, he's the one who's got a lot at stake, and he's definitely going to be the one that helps out the most against Daybreak, I'm feeling, because he seems to be the most powerful member of Blackout currently. We'll talk about Danji again in a later video, don't worry, we'll get to it. And I'm very interested in that. I like that status quo flip of, like, Danji and Tohya, like, effectively swapping places and that just changing everything about the show. I like seeing how everyone reacts to Tohya being the one in charge, and they don't make this subtle because they literally recreate moments that Danji had in season 1 but with Tohya in this episode, like him doing jobs and stuff, which Yuyu offers to help out with, which obviously teaches, you know, the message about how teamwork's important. That'll obviously be really important later on in the season. I'm sure what'll happen is Daybreak will probably be a bit more, like, scattered and isolated, where each member kind of works for themselves. Like, Masanori didn't necessarily seem to be very big friends with Shinobu and all that other stuff, and Danji certainly doesn't like being there. So, whereas the thing that'll make Blackout, like, win in the end will be the fact that they do actually care about each other. They do have friendship and they are willing to communicate with each other. That's my prediction. It seems pretty obvious, but they did a good job of kind of setting that up here. And there's a lot of other moments and stuff they recreated with Tohya, like him literally staying at Danji's apartment, which I guess that answers at least a couple of questions in one go. Like, why is Tohya so close to the amusement park now? Because previously he had to drive quite a long way to get there. He was in, like, the next town over, whereas now he is just here in Kaga. And also, what is happening with Danji's apartment? There we go, both questions answered in one go. I guess that takes care of that. McAfee, your device isn't safe, thank you very much. But yeah, I guess that answers that. And there's a lot of moments like that that I really liked. So basically the point of this episode was, in fact, if we can go back to this image here. Basically, so what happened is after the events of season 1 and Danji like going missing, which is a lot of characters just going missing, quote unquote, throughout overdress, because Megumi's also supposedly gone missing recently too. But yeah, ever since Danji went missing right at the end of episode 12, everyone's just kind of stopped going to Wonder Hill, partially because Danji isn't around anymore, and partially because the site is like broken because it got blown up. And in that time, which I'm not exactly certain how much time's passed, maybe it's the amount of time that passed in real life, like 3 months or so, I don't know. But in that time, Tohya has been like visiting the park every so often and like trying to fix it, and we've now like gotten to this point where it's only really the light bulbs that need to be fixed, whether it was only really the light bulbs that need to be fixed originally, or whether that's or whether Tohya's already fixed everything else, whatever. Like basically Tohya is trying to fix it again, and everyone's like, that's weird, he only just attacked us. And it's very clear from episode 12 that like he feels remorse for the things he's done and all that other stuff, and so he's trying to kind of prove it to Blackout that he's changed as a person. And he quit university and has seemingly given up on his like becoming a doctor goals to do so, and like I said, has started taking up Danji's odd jobs, which is a bit of an odd decision, like, because it feels weird that he has to compromise like that he has to pick one or the other, like card fighting or being a doctor, because I feel like it's possible to still do both. I don't know. So it does seem a bit extreme that they're going to quit that. Maybe they'll elaborate on that as time progresses. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, basically, as this is happening, Yuyu's kind of feeling bad for him and wants to help out. But then Tomari tells him, like, hey, you know, he did a lot of bad stuff. You can't just forgive him that easily. But Yuyu decides to help out anyway and helps out with the jobs and stuff, which is when we bring back like the cross-dressing, and it confirms the thing I said in my video essay that yes, Yuyu just had a character arc off screen. You know, like the series began with him really not liking cross-dressing, and then a character arc happens off screen where he just becomes okay with cross-dressing, and then episode 5 happens where he willingly chooses to cross-dress. And I thought, and I said that in my video essay, that was weird that they just skip out a character arc, a fairly important seeming one, off screen. But I was willing to, you know, kind of give it the benefit of the doubt that like maybe that was a fluke, maybe they didn't mean that. But no, this episode does seem to confirm that Yuyu's okay with cross-dressing. He does it willingly, and I'm like, elaborate, please. That's one of my biggest problems with this series, is that they set up such a big arc for this protagonist to go under, and we didn't get to see it. That's really weird. The rest of the show is super enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but it just feels really odd that they do this. And again, they could explain it, like, you know, later on they could retroactively explain it, but the only real way they could do that is with some kind of like weird out of place flashback or something. So I don't really have a lot of faith in them handling that correctly, and it's really weird. But if, you know, by the time this show ends and we move over to our next like generation and gimmick with Vanguard and new anime, and this ends up still being my biggest problem, then it's a problem I can ignore for the most part, for sure, because the rest of the show is so good. And that's the thing that's annoying about it too, is that Yuyu is a character I really like. It just feels like he's the character we're focusing on the least, honestly, because he's in this episode a lot, but it's definitely Tohya who gets all the focus. You know, would have liked to have seen an episode of Yuyu confronting the cross-dressing thing, you know, maybe Megumi like dressing him up herself and encouraging him and everything. I don't know, just something, anything. It feels really weird. But I don't know. It's weird. I mean, at the very least, it does seem to be a universal thing where, like, across the board, pretty much no one is 100% happy with how it's being handled. Some people are like, I just don't even want, like, it's such a tightrope of it. situation to address an anime like this that I'd rather they just not address it at all. Whereas other people like me are like, I think they could do it well. It's just weird that they're avoiding it. I don't know. It does seem like kind of a lose-lose situation, I guess. But I would have liked to have seen them at least try, you know. I don't know. I don't claim to be the expert on this, but we did get a lot of good scenes with Tohya at the very least. That's the thing, is I like Yuyu as a character. It's just that one element of his character, which is supposed to be the most important element, is the one that's getting breezed across the most. So hopefully we get something there. And then yeah, we get Tohya just kind of being like the thing I really like about this arc is, and I call this an arc because it's a character arc, right? Like we get a kind of very fast, like one episode character arc for Tohya where it really shows him trying to prove himself. And the thing that works about this episode, where a lot of other series fail, is that he works to gain it, you know, like he is trying to help. And I don't even really think he has the expectation that other people will start forgiving him if he does the right thing. I think he's just trying to do the right thing regardless of what other people think of him. I don't think he was fixing Wonderhill to win the other members of Blackout over to his side. I think he was just doing it because he felt bad, and that's the part that's important, because it does feel like there's a lot more going on with him. And the flashback we got with him in episode 6, I think, was enough to explain to me why he would make the decisions he made, incorrect as they may be. It does still feel like there's a lot going on with him, and it's believable, and that he really has learned the error of his ways, which is why they did get him to quit the medical school stuff. I still think that's maybe a bit too far. Like, he could still be a doctor. Maybe he just didn't want to be. Because in his episode, he mentioned that he was kind of indifferent to it. Like, he only really did it because his parents wanted him to. But, like, he didn't mind it, you know? Like, he didn't hate it. So, I don't know. Like, it's a well-paying profession. Why not? I've become Tohya's parents, I guess. Just seems a little, I don't know. I did like this episode, I promise. But yeah, then we get like scenes of the other members of Blackout kind of coming in to help repair and everything. That was really good. I like that they show that only a couple of members have come back to help. You know, like they're growing things in slowly. Like, I don't even think Zakuza or anyone has come back yet. Or Mai. Or Akane. You know, like very few members have come back, and they mention that like as time progresses, people will slowly start coming back again. I'm kind of expecting everyone to be back again by the time the next episode begins, but still, you know, like I think that's really cool that they're handling that way. I like the new banner, well, the old banner that like Danji and Megami's brother, I think, created when they first formed Blackout. That was neat. And then they go to the card shop and they discuss new cards and stuff, and already the overdress characters are the smartest characters in Vanguard history for one reason and one reason alone. Whenever a new set releases in Vanguard, in like the original anime or whatever, like Aichi will go up to the card shop and Shin will be like, hey, there's a new set out, and Aichi stupidly will buy like 1 or 2 packs from the booster box and open those and somehow get the card he needs, which doesn't happen. It just straight up does not happen. You will not get that card you need from just 2 packs from a booster box. These characters are smart. They go to the singles section and they just straight up buy the singles they need. Smartest characters in card game history. I've never seen a card game anime character be smarter than this. It's just straight up. But I like seeing them like actually discuss the cards and how they work, and very clearly discuss the ups and downs of the cards they're about to buy, because it's set up for the card fight later on in the episode. See, it's very clever. They make sure you know what these cards do so that when the card fight happens later on in the episode, you can follow along with it without having to slow it down by having the characters loudly declare the effect of every single card they use as they use it. They are literally, like, the people who think these card fights are difficult to follow or skip too much out clearly just aren't paying attention, because this anime is doing a lot of really clever stuff to make sure that you can still follow along with it as long as you're paying attention. It's really good stuff, I swear, please, believe me. And then yeah, we get the card fight, which is really, really good. I was expecting it to be a lot longer, honestly, mainly because it was the first episode, I guess. well, not the first episode, but like the first proper like Sakuga filled card fight and everything in the season. Yeah, I was like expecting like 5 minutes of characters hanging around and stuff, followed by like 15 minutes of a card fight, which I guess would be out of character for overdress. But this was a pretty short card fight, even by overdress standard, but it was still really good. Again, they focused on the cards that they were talking about earlier, in the card shop scene and all that other stuff, so I think it really worked well. It was pretty tense, especially with like Tohya's new like luck reliant strategy, which I think does a lot for him as a character too when you think about it, right? Because Tohya earlier on was very calculated and was always focused on like strategies that would like achieve certain victory, and that was like the thing that gave him the edge over the others. Whereas now this more like light-hearted and free-spirited Tohya that's a member of Team Blackout, he more is like, he's a lot more reckless and a lot more luck dependent, and I like that for him. Because whilst it might make him a worse card fighter, and whilst it's probably going to lose him a game in future, let's face it, I still think it works for him as a character, and I like that a lot. I think the card fight was really, really good, and it was just really fun to watch, you know? It felt good to have this series back again, which is actually why I appreciate the hiatus, because absence makes the heart grow fonder and everything, you know? I think it's really well done, and the Sakuga, I mean, you don't even need me to mention it, it was good. Thumbs up. And they played Yuyu's insert theme, I think, which is really cool. The one they played in like episode 3 of the original, like season 1. And then yeah, we end things on a pretty light-hearted note with them being like, yay, Blackout's like back in action again. The other members will slowly start coming back again if we keep this up. So on and so forth. And it seemed from the episode preview, which we're getting episode previews now, I guess. Yeah, the next episode previews seem to focus on Megami. So yeah, that's basically all I have to really say about the episode. Overall, I really, really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't necessarily think it was like the most memorable episode in the world in the grand scheme of things, but as, you know, for the beginning of a season, it does a lot of setup, it does a lot of reintroducing characters, it makes it so that everything Tohya is doing makes sense, which is going to be really important because he's going to be a really big cog in the upcoming season, and that might be the most, like, that might be the thing I'm looking forward to most in this season, is just seeing Tohya grow into the leader of this group, especially when he's against Daybreak. You know, I think he's going to do some really cool stuff and achieve some really cool wins, and I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing what it is that's happening with Donji. I'm obviously expecting him to be there, not on a choice, but because he's forced to, and so I'm looking forward to seeing whenever it is that we find out why he's there, and when he will come back to Blackout again, because he's, let's face it, this is a Kagami anime, he's gonna come back to Blackout again. But we'll talk about that more in my analysis of the opening and ending theme and more theories and stuff in a future video, so we'll talk about that later. And if you want to see that, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, haha, segue. And I'll see you later with some more videos. Be sure to let me know what you thought of this episode and what matchups and plot lines or other stuff you're looking forward to in future episodes, as well as what you think of Tohya. So I'll see you later with some more videos soon. And remember, for every statement, there's an asterisk. See ya.